Joining us on the call now, we have our first and I think only guest of the evening. It's Lee Connelly. How are you, Lee?
Hi, mate. Yeah, how are you doing? I'm good.
Not too bad. Thanks very much for joining us. We're just talking a little bit of Tyson Fury. Did you get a chance to see him in action last night?
Yeah, I've seen some bits of it. I kind of put it on a live stream and then I got bored of it and then I switched it back on at the end and saw that the same thing was happening. So, yeah.
Not the most exciting, do you think? Is he more of a functional performer when he has to be, Tyson?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's a very fluid mover for a man that size. So you've got to respect that and, you know, the skill that he's showing. But his opponent didn't really seem up to much. And if anything, he did look vulnerable at times, leaving his chin there. And just, I don't know if he was just playing or if he would just stand like that if Wilder was in front of him.
Well, that's the next one, isn't it? Obviously, Wilder got into the ring as well. How do you see that one going? Wilder's got the power, Fury's the boxing ability. It's a tough one to call, maybe?
Yeah, I think if it just comes straight off of that Klitschko win, then you'd probably be saying Fury. But, you know, looking at him in his last two performances since he's come back, then I'm just thinking he looks too vulnerable. I think Wilder would knock him out.
Obviously, Lee, you're not the kind of guy who stays off the shelf for too long. Fury's been out for quite a while. You know, 2 years is a long time. Do you think that will catch up on him?
Yeah, massively. And what he's been doing in those 2 years hasn't been helping either. So that's not been good for his body. And, you know, is his mind really in it or is he just kind of kidding himself?
Lee, you've had 46 fights, obviously a lot of losses on the record. I mean, would you class yourself as a journeyman or how do you look at it?
Yeah, I think at this stage I'd have to class myself as a journeyman. I kind of used to take a bit of offence to people saying that early on when I was taking away fights. But you know, there is times now where I do realise I'm not going to win it. I'm getting hurt, so you know I cover up a little bit more than I would have when I first started.
Whenever you first came into the game, what were your aspirations? Did you genuinely think you could have like a shot at sort of domestic titles, or when did the point come when you thought to yourself, I'd be better off going on the road as the opponent here?
Well, right from the beginning, I had a lot of hope that I could do something, but I didn't really realise the business side of things. So I had my debut and I struggled to sell tickets for that. I had one more and I really struggled to sell tickets. So it was at that point, it's either do you want to box away or you've got to sell tickets. So if you can't do that, you know, you're not going to go anywhere.
Pretty early on, they put you in with some decent names. You obviously went in with Sean Dodd, the likes of Paul Appleby, who was a British champion as well. What was it like fighting the likes of Dodd, who's obviously now fighting on Sky Sports, made a bit of a name for himself?
Yeah, I mean, with Dodd, honestly, I had a 4-round tear up with him in Liverpool and there was nothing in it. Ryan Rhodes was doing the commentary and he said there's nothing in this fight. And so I didn't ever think he'd go on that far, and it's seeing someone like that makes me think if I had carried on selling tickets, I could be up there where he is now because there was nothing in that fight between me and him.
People don't realise how big it is to be a ticket seller, do they, on the domestic scene? You don't have to just be a boxer and turn up. You have to go out there, family and friends, Facebook, even selling tickets, you know, in the streets sometimes. Yeah,
I mean, that was massive struggle for me because even I didn't really have groups of friends. All my friends are like ones and twos, so I was finishing training, then driving around, dropping tickets off till 10 at night. You know, I might do 10 drops, and that might only be 16 tickets. Driving all over Sheffield.
Yeah, you fought Luke Campbell in his third fight, I think it was. And I mean, Luke, what was it like to fight him? Big, tall southpaw, Olympic pedigree.
Yeah, crazy, really, because I came from having 5 amateur bouts and a couple unlicensed, and then that was my first year as a pro. I got stuck in with that Paul Appleby, former British champion, and obviously Luke Campbell. So it was exciting for me, if anything, boxing on Sky. But, you know, I probably didn't quite realise how out of my depth I was at the time, so I gave it my everything. But, yeah, it was good.
You mentioned the unlicensed scene there. That's obviously not licensed by the British board. Is that the old Malta, current Bieber scene, is it?
No, what it was is I had 5 amateur bouts when I was like 19, and then I didn't box again for a couple of years. I was just working, and I wanted to get back into it, but I thought I'm a bit late now to do amateurs. So It was just a local unlicensed show that he put fights on, you know, and I just did a few of them.
Have you ever considered, obviously, if you didn't box under the British board, that you would maybe go on one of those Malta shows? Has that ever crossed your mind?
No, because, you know, once boxing on British Boxing Board of Control, you realise the quality on them Malta shows isn't very good at all. You know, I might as well stick in with where I can go in with some good names. You know, like just last year I was in with a load of good names, boxed on Sky a couple of times. You're not going to get that on those Maltese shows.
Yeah, if you're a prospect, the level of opposition is just not there, is it?
No, not at all.
In 2014, you went in against Andy Townend. That was probably your sort of big moment for the Central Area Super Featherweight title. What went on there?
Yeah, I mean, that like you said earlier, at what point did I realise I was kind of a journeyman? I had my initial thing of not selling tickets or taking away fights, but I still had a lot of ambition at that stage, and I was going in there to win. And you know, after that, it was kind of like, well, you know, I've lost my opportunity now. That was my opportunity to win the title. And Townend's an hard puncher. I struggled with the weight, and I just didn't have the experience at that stage.
Just to remind our listeners, we've got Derby boxer Lee Connelly on the call. Massive respect for guys like Lee who go about, you know, treading the boards, fighting against prospects and, you know, really giving his all. Is it Carl Greaves that trains or manages you or something, Lee?
Yeah, he doesn't train me because he's out of my way, but he manages me. He has done from the start, so nearly 6 years that he's managed me through my career so far. And
he looks after you, Carl, does, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he knows I'm willing to get in with anyone, so he doesn't have to protect me from anything, you know. He stuck me in my first year against Luke Campbell, like you say, and so I think he realised what sort of fighter I am from the beginning, you know what I mean?
You've had wins, obviously. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. Garvey Kelly, you beat Ross Jameson, Ibra Riaz. What does it still feel like to have your hand raised, even after all those losses?
Yeah, it's still good, but I haven't got the same love for boxing I have now, because in the beginning, like I said, I had hopes and aspirations of winning all my fights. I'd never planned to lose, so you kind of become a bit numb to the losses, and then when a win comes along, it's nice, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem to have the same effect on me anymore.
Whenever fighters lose, a lot of the time there's always excuses, and they say, oh, you know, this happened, I got robbed, what have you. Are there any occasions where you genuinely thought you had done enough to win a fight?
Plenty. And even I'm quite a negative, I look at myself quite critically and negatively, so I might think, oh, perhaps a draw in my corner, and everyone watching might say, you won that, you definitely won that. And, you know, you obviously don't get the decisions when you're boxing away.
Who's the hardest puncher you fought, Lee?
That's hard to tell. Perhaps I boxed a kid called Joe Costello in Birmingham. He was a hot prospect coming through. He knocked that, you know, Alamedi out in first round. And he's had nearly 200 bouts. He knocked him out in first round. And I took him 4, but he did bust me up a bit. I
was at the Belfast show last night, and William Warburton was there. He's obviously had 150 fights, and Al Hamidi, like you say, has had a load. Peter Buckley had 300 fights. I mean, how long do you think you could go on for? Do you want to say, oh, I want to have 50? Do I want to have 100? I mean, how do you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, with the style I've got, I was going in taking 3 punches to land 1 when I first started. So only recently, only in this last year, I've kind of adopted my style to move around a bit more. So, you know, if I kept with that kind of style and I didn't get involved, I could probably get 100 if I wanted, but I don't know if I really want that. Then there's people like Christian Lake out there. He's at 300 and he's having another year at it. So, you know, it makes people like me look bad. Wow. Only been 46. You
got a draw in 2017 against Floyd Moore. You went the distance with Mitchell Smith. You went the distance with Scott Cardle. John Joe Nevin went the distance as well. I mean, do you go in and think to yourself, right, I'm in a defensive mindset. I just don't want to get stopped, and then I'll be able to fight again next week or the week after?
I mean, the only time I've really done that, probably my last fight that I had, because it was an 8-rounder, and I'd not trained for it. I just thought I'll do that. The other fights, I'm going there to win them, and I'm coming off worse for that because I'm taking the punishment while I'm trying to move forward to land shots, I'm taking a lot of punishment. But generally, I still want to have a fight. That's the bit I enjoy most.
Is there any guys you've gone in with and you thought, wow, this kid's really special, he's going places?
Only the ones that people kind of know about. So like last year, it was coming up to Christmas. I'd had 4 weeks no training, drinking beers here and there, you know, just getting ready for Christmas. I didn't think I was going to box again. I boxed Joe Cordina. So I kind of knew before I went in that I was out of my depths. But as soon as that first round started, I just thought, yeah, this kid's the business. Just throwing combinations, and he never faded off. Hitting fast, hard punches. Couldn't really touch him with anything. You get in with a kid like that, and it makes you just realise that there are big differences in levels in boxing.
Last couple of questions, and we do thank you for your time, Lee.
No problem.
When it comes to training and that, do you just tick yourself over? Obviously, you're not going to be going in and doing loads of sparring and stuff. I wouldn't have thought. You're just ticking over, is it, type of thing? Yeah, just ticking over. I guess like just train four times a week, just one session. That's all I'm kind of doing, because I've got a job, and the more you box, you realise you've got to try and live a normal life as well, because it has its effect on your relationships with your family, with your partner and everything. Plus, I'm only getting a couple of days' notice for fights, so it's not like I can have camps. I've just got to kind of be in the gym whenever I can. So you would tend to stick in and around the weight most of the year then? Yeah, I have a vegan diet, and that has helped me with my weight. So I'm kind of just the same weight all the time. I'm just around 10 stone all the time. So I can take a fight any time then around that weight. Couple of fights coming up. Bobby Woods in September in York Hall. Adam Ridge a week later in the Victoria Warehouse. Just keep plodding on, really, Lee, and see where it takes you. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know about them. I didn't know I had them, but sometimes Carl doesn't always tell me, because he knows that I'll just take it and turn up and do it, you know. So yeah, they'll be nice to get in, get a couple more in it, the 50, and then see how I feel from there, I think, and probably have another year at it. Yeah, according to BoxRec, you've got Bobby on the 8th of September in York Hall, and you've got Adam Ridge, who's 4-0 on the 15th of September up in Manchester, so best of luck. Oh, great, yeah. Thank you, mate. Thanks. We appreciate you joining us. Are you on social media or anything like that, Twitter or? Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use that much. But Facebook and Instagram, I'm on there all the time. So everyone will hopefully look for you and add you on. Lee, really appreciate you coming on. It's been a fascinating discussion. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. All the best. Cheers, Lee. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.